Change is a very strong constant, but I think the pace of change is far greater now, and we're seeing more change across a variety of areas. Whether you look at geopolitical issues, technology issues, economic issues, business structure, I mean, it's all over the place, right? And so the way that you improve and adapt during times of change is through vulnerability, right? Is admitting that you need to get better, that you do have those gaps. So pointing out those gaps is important. If you don't point out those gaps, then you're not going to be able to learn and grow and get better. Now, part of it is, of course, you need to try to close those gaps yourself, not just assume other people are going to close it for you. But if you don't even talk about them, then you're not gonna move forward while the world around you changes. And what's going to happen over time is you will be left behind, because you're going to stay in a stagnant position while the world around you changes, which means by default, everything moves forward. You are now lagging behind. Second, I think it's important because there's also, I feel like there's never been more of a time when we have needed that push for connection and competence. These to me seem to be very big areas that we are struggling with in the business world. We keep talking about this need of connecting with others, of putting people first. We keep hearing about the loneliness epidemic, burnout, disengagement. That's where a lot of the connection stuff comes from. But at the same time, we also hear a lot of challenges when it comes to competence, people being good at their jobs. I myself actually feel like the work ethic collectively has taken a nosedive. It just doesn't feel like we have that same work ethic today that we did 5-10 years ago. It doesn't seem like a lot of people want to, dare I even say, work as much now as they did before. And so I think we're struggling on both fronts. On the competence part, like Mark Randolph, for example, he was the first CEO of Netflix. He told me that one of his rules for success was to always do 10% more than what was asked of him. And today, it feels like we want to do 20% less than what is expected. And I don't feel like we have that do 10% more mentality anymore. And that freaks me out a little bit. To me, we are in a world now where we're trying to get more while doing less, which I don't think is very healthy. So we have a struggle on the competence side. We also have a struggle on the connection side. And so I think now we need both of these things more than ever to come together. Do you want to hear something really crazy? 96% of the people who watch videos on this channel are not subscribed. Make sure to hit that subscribe button. It'll literally take you 1 second, and you'll get notified when more videos just like this one are available. Now, let's get back to the content together. We've pumped so much money into the economy. We've incentivized people to try to work less and get paid. So I think we have an incentive structure that's a little bit backwards. I think the pendulum of power has shifted too much into the hands of employees, which is hard for me to say because I literally wrote a book on employee experience. I want to preface this by saying I do think organizations should treat you well, which we can talk about. But if you look at what happened during the course of the pandemic, companies were struggling so much that employees were grabbing as much as they could. And so we were in situations where employees were asking to make more than their boss's boss. Employees wanted more equity. They wanted better benefits. They wanted higher pay. And then on top of all of that, they then told their employers, by the way, I don't even want to show up to the office anymore. And so the employees took everything that they possibly could. And now we're coming out of the pandemic, of course, and a lot of organizations, we have these like clashing of heads. And one of the things that actually to me even sounds a bit crazy is the fact that employees are getting upset because their employers are telling them, hey, we want you to come to the office. I mean, that to me is insane. And they're not just saying come to the office. They're being like, let's have a flexible work program, come in 3 days a week. And employees are out there, no, like the hell with you. And in my mind, I'm thinking, wait a minute. This is a company that's paying your salary. They're paying your benefits. They're doing all these things to take care of you. They have this office space that they have created. They're not saying work 9 to 5, 5 days a week. A lot of them are saying, hey, can you come in sometimes for a few hours so that we can get together, align on culture, brainstorm new ideas, come up with strategies, try to innovate and grow. And for employees to then say, the hell with you, to me is just a slap in the face. Not only that, if you look at a lot of the stuff that's trending on social media, especially when you look at the younger generation, there's trending topics like lazy girl jobs, the Sunday scaries, There are people going on social media who are putting what their workday looks like at a company like Google, where on Monday they show up to work and they're like, oh, I'm just going to lounge in my chair. I'm going to drink a smoothie. Maybe I'll answer an email. And it's this culture of you shouldn't have to work hard on Monday and Tuesday. Maybe you put in a little bit of effort on Wednesday and Thursday, and then you kind of ease out of the work week on Friday. I'm sorry. That is, especially for me, coming from immigrant parents, I was taught that you work hard. You do 10% more than what's asked. So you have all of these things coming together, these trending things on social media, basically saying, let's chill, don't work so hard. And yeah, you get an environment where people take a step back and they say, why am I working this hard? Now, again, I get it. I'm a millennial. I saw my mom work for an organization for most of her life, and she would come home from work crying, and she was miserable, and she worked hard to the point where she actually quit her job and went to go do something else. I get that. She became a marriage and family therapist, went back to school to get a master's degree. That's fine, but if you're working at an organization that you don't think is treating you well, go quit, work somewhere else. Go build something on your own. But if you work for that kind of an organization and you're not doing much and then the company fires you, then you deserve it. I mean, I'm sorry, there's no other way around it, right? I mean, I don't know what the mentality that some people have of the employee and employer relationship today is just totally out of whack. Now, I also want to say that on the stance of employees, I do believe the organization should focus on those three environments for you of culture, technology, and space. You should have the tools and resources you need to do your job. You should be able to work in spaces that you feel inspire, engage you, and motivate you. I don't believe in cubicles and gray walls. I don't think anybody should work in that kind of an environment. I do believe in flexible work. I believe that you should have coaching and mentoring and training programs. I do believe that you should be compensated fairly. And I do believe in those things too, but it's too much into the hands of employees at this point.